Pompeo says the Trump administration is prepared to talk to Iran with no preconditions. Tehran rebuffs the offer, calling it wordplay. Our top story this morning, the search for 19 missing South Koreans and 2 Hungarian crew members continues under the murky waters of the Danube River in Budapest. However, if the search fails, Hungarian officials plan to call off the search and salvage the boat as early as Thursday. Our Che Si-young tells us more.
Hungary's search and rescue team looking for the missing Koreans and Hungarians have recommended the capsized boat be salvaged soon instead of continuing with their underwater search, which is proving difficult amid the swollen water levels and strong currents. However, Korean officials have raised concerns that bodies potentially inside the boat would be severely damaged during the salvage operation and have requested the underwater search continue. Hungary is insisting if underwater search fails to find the missing in the coming days, the boat will be salvaged as early as Thursday.
Hungarian officials say the water level will decrease a bit this week, so the boat could be salvaged as early as Thursday, but perhaps as late as next week.
The South Korean search team, however, did say it'll actively support Hungary if asked, including during the salvage operation. The Hungarian government is also set to hold a press conference on Monday to encourage citizens to report any missing passengers that might have been found along the banks of the Danube.
The Hungarian Counterterrorism Agency will hold a press conference at 2 p.m. on Monday to ask Hungarians to report immediately if any bodies are found along the Danube River.
On Saturday local time, a court in Budapest issued a formal arrest warrant for the captain of the cruise ship that collided with the tourist boat on charges of negligence for last Wednesday's fatal accident. The captain, who will now be detained for up to a month, insists he's innocent. His lawyer is echoing his client's claims, saying the captain didn't violate regulations and therefore should not be found criminally responsible for the sinking of the tourist boat. The captain's bail has been set around $50,000. If he finds the money, he will be freed while the probe continues but banned from leaving Hungary. Che Si-young, Arirang News.
Now, President Moon Jae-in will be briefed on the current situation in Budapest following last Wednesday's deadly boat collision on the Danube River. He will be brought up to speed by Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa, who is back in Seoul now after travelling to Hungary late last week to oversee the search mission. Shortly after the crash, President Moon ordered the formation of a government-level response team headed by Kang. The president is reportedly set to convey a message to the Korean people on the sinking once he's briefed by his top diplomat. President Moon Jae-in will hold talks in the coming hours with visiting acting Pentagon chief Patrick Shanahan. Officials at the top office say the South Korean leader will urge Shanahan to support Seoul's diplomatic efforts to denuclearize North Korea. Shanahan will also meet with South Korea's defense minister Jung Kyung-do. They'll discuss the latest developments on the Korean Peninsula, as well as ways to ensure the transfer of wartime operational control of South Korean forces to the host country runs smoothly. And the defense chiefs of South Korea, the United States and Japan have held talks on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue, which is one of Asia's biggest security meetings. The three sides vowed on Sunday to increase efforts to boost military ties while also cooperating more to achieve the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Kim Jongun has this report.
The defense ministers of South Korea, the U.S., and Japan have vowed to maintain close cooperation to support diplomatic efforts to achieve the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula and everlasting peace in the region. This is according to a joint statement after their trilateral meeting, which was held for more than an hour and a half on Sunday on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore. According to the statement released by Seoul's defense ministry, the three sides stressed the need for North Korea to fully abide by international duties in accordance to the resolutions that call for Pyongyang's complete denuclearization in verifiable and irreversible manners. They also agreed on the need to thoroughly implement United Nations Security Council resolutions in regards to preventing and controlling North Korea's illegal ship-to-ship transfers. In addition, the three ministers plan to share their assessments of recent North Korean missile firings and continue monitoring the regime's movements, saying the country's cooperation is critical in maintaining peace and stability on the Korean peninsula. They vowed to increase security cooperation and intelligence sharing, senior-level policy consultations, as well as joint military exercises, and stated it'll work toward institutionalizing the buildup of the three countries' military trust. The three sides also reiterated the need for a peaceful resolution based on international law that guarantees the freedom of navigation, perhaps in regards to the disputed South China Sea issue, in which China and the U.S. are conducting patrols in the area amid a bitter trade battle that has strained China-U.S. ties. Kim Jongun, Arirang News.
Now, US President Donald Trump will continue to seek talks with North Korean leader Kim Jongun as Washington looks to diffuse simmering tensions following February's failed summit in Hanoi. Speaking at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore over the weekend, US Special Representative for North Korea Stephen Biegun said the US is convinced that through continued negotiations, it can continue to close the gaps that separate the two countries and make further progress on all the goals they committed to during their first summit. The US State Department says North Korea should remain engaged and refrain from provocations such as its recent missile tests. Now, Kim Yong-chol, who had been North Korea's top nuclear negotiator at the past Pyongyang-Washington summits, has been spotted with Kim Jong-un, despite a report claiming he had been purged. Pyongyang's state-run Korean Central News Agency reported Monday that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un watched an art performance given by the wives of the regime's army officers on Sunday. He was joined by Kim Yong-chol. The Joseon Ilbo, a South Korean daily, reported last week that Kim Yong-chol was undergoing forced labor and ideological education after the Hanoi summit ended without a deal. Kim lost his post as head of the regime's United Front Department in April and is now one of the vice chairmen of the North's ruling Workers' Party. Now, quite the debut victory for South Korean rookie golfer Lee Jeong-eun on Sunday. The first trophy going in her cabinet is the one they all want to win, the LPGA US Women's Open. The 23-year-old finished at 6 under 278 at the Country Club of Charleston in South Carolina to take the oldest major championship in women's golf by 2 shots. He takes home $1 million in prize money. That's the largest winner's check in the tournament's history. He is now the second straight South Korean major champion on the tour this year, following Go Jin-young in April. Now, K-pop sensations BTS took to the stage at the UK's world-famous Wembley Stadium over the weekend, becoming the first Korean artist to headline the iconic venue. Tens of thousands of BTS fans from across Europe and even further afield flocked to Wembley to see their favourite pop stars put on an amazing show. Our culture correspondent Lee Min-sun has this report.
BTS has once again made history by becoming the first ever South Korean artist to headline London's iconic Wembley Stadium. Some 60,000 fans filled the stadium to witness the group's second ever set of London concert. The K-pop sensations performed their tracks during their 2 sold-out concerts over the weekend, and fans sang along with the Korean lyrics. The concert featured innovative elements such as augmented reality and an aero balloon robot. The concerts are also a memorable milestone for the 7-member group as they grew up watching performances held at Wembley and dreamed of performing at the stadium. Fans from all around the world were not just excited by the group's successful sold-out stadium debut, but were inspired by their ability to bring Asian culture to the Western Hemisphere and spread their message through their lyrics in Korean.
It's amazing how they're not from the West and they're doing so well here, and they're like doing really like great things, and like also Asian representation. Myself as an Asian, I'm like really happy that they're bringing like their like culture to the West, and their message and their songs are like amazing.
Also write about a lot more things than just love, which I know is like a super hot topic in music, but they also write about like social injustice and like how our generation has to work so hard to just like achieve something, like how the older generations kind of don't see that as hard work, and I just think that's really inspiring.
The boy band London shows are a part of their Love Yourself, Speak Yourself World Tour. The tour will continue in Paris, France on the 7th and 8th. Lee Min-sun, Arirang News.
Shifting gears now, the sheer volume of plastic waste in the world's seas and oceans has really become a hot potato globally. However, South Korea is looking to do its part, at least in this part of the world, with the government laying out comprehensive measures to halve the amount of waste plastic in South Korean waters by the year 2030. So over the next 12 years, or 11 years rather. Kim Hyo-sun reports.
Plastic is estimated to account for 80% of global marine litter. In waters off South Korea, there is estimated to be nearly 120,000 tons of plastic, half of it discarded fishing gear and buoys. As well as harming sea life and contaminating the water, fine plastic only 1 to 5 micrometers in size is a potential risk factor for human beings. The toxins contained in such microplastic are known to be detrimental to human health and may even cause cancer or infertility.
Fine plastic has been found inside marine life and products caught in South Korean waters, while a large amount of plastic was recently found inside a dead turtle. The public is worried.
To tackle the issue, the South Korean government is aiming to reduce marine plastic in South Korean waters by 30% and 50% by 2022 and 2030, respectively. Starting in 2021, the government will initiate a deposit system for fishing gear and buoys and set up collection zones at major ports. It also plans to substitute styrofoam buoys with eco-friendly materials while making efforts to make sure river waste doesn't flow into the sea. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
Now, tension between the United States and Iran has increased sharply in the past month after Iran decided to partially abandon the 2015 nuclear deal aimed at curbing Tehran's nuclear program. But the US is telling Iran that talks are always on the table. For more on this and other news from around the world, let's turn to our Hong Yu. So let's hear more about what US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo had to say on Sunday.
Well, Mark, Pompeo said the U.S. is prepared to talk to Iran with no preconditions about its nuclear program if the country behaves like, quote, a normal nation. This often stance comes after Iran's President Hassan Rouhani said on Saturday that Iran may be willing to hold talks if Washington showed it respect. But Pompeo also said the U.S. will continue its effort to fundamentally reverse the malign activity of Iran.
There's real challenges inside of Iran today. They're not caused by our economic sanctions. They're caused by 40 years of the Islamic regime not taking care of its people, instead using their resources to destroy real lives, to use resources to underwrite Hezbollah, to using resources to fight in Syria, where 6 million human beings, 6 million people have been displaced because of Iranian activity in support of the Assad regime there.
Trump has proposed talks without preconditions since July 2018, before the U.S. had imposed sanctions in Iran's oil and financial sectors that crushed Iran's economy. But Rouhani dismissed the offer as wordplay on Sunday, saying it was up to the U.S. to return to the negotiating table and resume compliance with the 2015 deal. On Saturday, the U.S. military had a B-52 bomber and an aircraft carrier simulate strike operations. The military hardware was dispatched to the Middle East in May, citing, quote, credible threats from Iran, to which the U.S. did not offer evidence. Ahead of his scheduled state visit this week to the UK, U.S. President Donald Trump is denying reports he called the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, nasty. He took to Twitter on Sunday, saying it was more fake news. During an interview with the British newspaper The Sun, published last Friday, Trump said he did not know that Meghan was nasty when he was told she accused him of being misogynistic and divisive during his 2016 presidential campaign. Also during the interview, Trump praised former Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, saying he'd do an excellent job as Britain's next prime minister. Pope Francis met on Sunday with the Roma community in Romania to ask for their forgiveness for the discrimination they have faced from Catholics over the centuries. Check out what the Pope said during his final stop in Romania before heading back to the Vatican.
History tells us that Christians too, Catholics too, are not strangers to such evil. I would like to ask your forgiveness for this. I ask forgiveness in the name of the Church and of the Lord, and I ask forgiveness of you for all those times in history when we have discriminated, mistreated, or looked askance at you.
The Roma people, an ethnic minority in Europe, have faced persecution in the region for generations. They still find it difficult to get work and a proper education due to discrimination, and the majority live in poverty.
Time now for our Life and Info segment, where we focus on information that we do hope will be useful for your everyday life. Now, bicycles and electric kickboards are fun and convenient means of getting around, but it is very important indeed to follow traffic laws while riding them out and about. Our Park Se-young with more.
The number of bike and electric kickboard riders in Korea is on the rise. As of 2016, more than 13 million people ride a bike at least once a month. But since 2008, there have been over 10,000 traffic accidents involving bikes each year, with more accidents happening in the mild weather of spring and fall. According to traffic laws, bicycles are treated as cars on roadways and face the same responsibilities. Cyclists must keep to the right or use bike lanes and must ride in the same direction as cars, following the same traffic rules. Bicycles are allowed on sidewalks if the cyclist is a child under 13 years of age, a senior aged 65 and older, or physically disabled, when safety signs say they're allowed, and when roads are damaged or under construction. And when crossing the road, the cyclist must get off and walk across with the bicycle in order to be considered a pedestrian. As for electric kickboards, they're classified as motorcycles and treated as two-wheeled vehicles with a motor under 50 cubic centimeters. This means they must also be ridden only on roads, but since their top speed is limited to 25 kilometers per hour, they'll be allowed on bike lanes from the latter half of a year. For the safe riding of both bicycles and electric kickboards, helmets are required at all times. Headlights must be turned on when riding at night to prevent accidents, and riders must not use mobile phones or earphones. Most importantly, getting on a bike or kickboard after drinking is considered drunk driving. Since 2018, riding a bicycle under the influence is subject to a fine of up to $170 or detention by the police. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now we're into June, and it's time to officially say hello to summer, as some of South Korea's beaches have opened to the public for some fun in the sun. 3 beaches in Busan in the southeast of the country, namely Haeundae, Songjong and Songdo, and Malipo Beach in Chungcheongnam-do province. They all opened up to the public on Saturday. Other beaches will open in June or early July. Now, starting this year, visitors are allowed to take a dip at designated beaches even when they are not officially open. On top of that, more than 150 beaches can now be enjoyed until late at night, but people will be prevented from going into the sea from various times, depending on the beach, so check beforehand if you want a bit of a late night paddle. The Seoul Metropolitan Government will erect 400 tree shade canopies near crosswalks and on traffic islands by the year 2022 to protect people against the scorching summer sun. It says it will plant over 600 trees and install benches, investing $335,000 annually for the next 3 years. By the end of this year, the government plans to finish 113 tree shade canopies, as well as providing pedestrians some much-needed relief from the intense summer heat. The move is also expected to improve air quality in the South Korean capital. Now, Irish rock legends U2 will hold their first ever concert in South Korea in December as part of their Joshua Tree tour. The concert will be held at the Go-Chok Sky Dome in Seoul on December 8th. During each tour performance, which kicks off in New Zealand on November 8th, U2 is likely to play the entire Joshua Tree album along with other classics from their vast back catalogue. Tickets for the Seoul concert will go on sale through the website Yes24 at noon Korea time on June 12th. That's next Wednesday, so have your alarms/calendars ready. Pre-sale for U2.com subscribers, that will start on June 10th.
Good morning. It's going to feel a lot like the end of July today. The heat, though, will get stronger this week, and we will be sizzling under scorching temperatures. Meanwhile, Daegu and the Gyeongsang-do provinces will be the hottest areas with temperatures hovering around 35 degrees Celsius this afternoon, and a heat wave advisory has been issued in those regions, while the air is losing its moisture with dry weather alerts in place for many eastern parts of the country. Air quality-wise, Ulsan, Daegu, and parts of Gangwon-do province will be dealing with high levels of ultrafine dust, and ozone levels will be very high in southern parts of the country today. Daily highs will be a couple notches higher today, while Busan and Jeju should have bearable temperatures at 26 degrees this afternoon. Now over in Budapest, the scene of last week's tragic boat sinking, overall weather conditions will improve with lower water levels on the Danube River, and its velocity has decreased. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
Well, that's all we have for now on this Monday morning here in Seoul. Do stay tuned to us here on Arirang TV. And a reminder that our next newscast is coming up at noon Korea time. That's with our very own Lee Jeong-eun. So until then, goodbye.
Cooperation and exchange between Korea and its close allies has been more important than ever. With a focus on international diplomacy, the diplomat seeks to reinforce relationships between Korea and the world. Join us as we connect with foreign ambassadors to better understand Korean politics, economy, culture, and more. The Diplomat. By exploring domestic consumption patterns and scientific advancements, Money Monster will give you a look into how different trends are affecting Korea during the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Get a full analysis on the outlook of the future and how Korea will be the center of this economic change. Money Monster. New, fun content every week. Get all the latest footage through exciting video reports. What are some of the hottest and trendiest places in Korea, and what do people want to know about Korean culture? From popular tourist destinations, delicious cuisines, exciting events, local festivals, and trending individuals. Get a glimpse into everyday life in Korea through Now.